Welcome to the Whole Health Podcast,
where a functional nutritionist and a biological dentist investigate the interconnectedness of your health.
Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Whole Health Podcast today. So honored to welcome my friend, Georgia Gibbs, and we'll be talking about traditional Chinese medicine. Georgia Gibbs is a traditional Chinese herbalist and cycle awareness educator from Perth, Western Australia. Her passion for natural healing stems from her own struggles with chronic health issues after a decade as an international model, which led to a personal health crisis. Choosing to seek healing rather than relying on antibiotics, she discovered traditional Chinese medicine, which transformed her life. Georgia studied traditional Chinese herbalism in London, focusing on dermatology and female health. She furthered her education in detoxification, mineral balance, and nutrition. She is the Director of Innovation at 28, a wellness app for women, and the author of an ebook. Through her online clinic, Georgia combines traditional Chinese medicine, nutritional therapy, and cycle education to help women reclaim their vitality and align with their natural rhythms. Her journey of personal healing has evolved into a commitment for empowering others to find purpose and radiance in their lives. Thank you, Georgia, for coming to Portland, Oregon to be with us.
It's a pleasure. I'm very happy to be reunited. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you.
Of course.
We first met, I think, through Tyler Jean, who connected us on an Instagram Live.
Yes.
And then I was in your hometown at the time, New York, and we had lunch together and became fast friends. And
yeah.
At that time, as I recall, you were just beginning your studies in traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to have you here today to talk about this. I know Megan we're talking pre-show about how much you're interested in learning more about this. So let's take it away.
Yeah.
Why don't we start? I'd love to learn what drew you into traditional Chinese medicine. What's your story?
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty interesting kind of story, actually. So I'm not from a background of kind of holistic thinking parents or anything like that. I just was in LA. I was by myself and I was sick as a dog. I was so sick. And I went doctor to doctor to doctor and no one could figure out what was wrong. And I was having such a rough time. I'd lost half of my hair. I had cystic acne. I couldn't digest anything. I had chronic infections. And I'd honestly just given up. And then my agent at the time, I was modeling full time. I'd just done Sports Illustrated and all these other things, and my career was going crazy, but my personal life was falling apart, which is kind of how it goes. And he said to me, look, I don't know if you're into this, but there's this lady in the Pacific Palisades and she does Chinese medicine. Like, just go and see her. She really helped me with my skin. Because at the time I was like, I can't work because I had such bad rosacea, I couldn't go outside or be in the sun or anything. And it came on really suddenly after like an acute illness that I'd gone through. Anyway, so I went to see her. And you know that feeling where you walk into somewhere and you're like, this is where I'm meant to be. Oof, it all landed. And I walked into this little shop surrounded by these giant jars filled with the weirdest looking plants I'd ever seen. And something inside me was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And she gave me a hug and she just was like, we're going to figure it out. And that, to me, just having someone commit to you, and that's the power of being a empathetic, compassionate practitioner, that's all you need when you're kind of at rock bottom, like one person to believe in your healing. And that's what she gave me. And then I started drinking these herbs that would make me gag. And it tasted terrible. But within 3 months, I started to see kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. And I started to feel my body start to regulate. And then pretty much straight away, I started studying. And it's been the best decision ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that was your pathway to healing and restoring your health.
Yes.
So what came next?
Yeah. So I think most practitioners honestly have a story of their health falling apart. I know that you can resonate. It's like, okay, no one's going to figure this out for me, so I'm just going to figure it out myself. And I remember like my partner at the time just being like, Georgia, just remember, like, you've always been the one to figure it out. So just whenever something pops up, he's like, you'll figure it out. And that's the truth, honestly. So after that, I started kind of diving into nutrition a little bit more. I came off my IUD, so I'd been on birth control for 12 years or something, and then went through that hormonal roller coaster. So I was kind of doing herbs. But then I realized that there was kind of this 10% that I felt like the herbs couldn't quite address. And I was like, there's something here that isn't being looked at. And then I started diving into the world of mineral balance. And kind of no matter what plants you put in or medication you put in, if the body doesn't have its foundation for that like mitochondrial health and that kind of spark plug energy that minerals provide the body, we just can't ignite the body's healing response, right? Minerals are kind of like the foundations. They're like the deepest root of like, can your body show up or can it not? And I just was still feeling like fatigued and tired and my hormones. I was just on this like constant roller coaster. So then I started incorporating kind of mineral balance, post-pill syndrome, diving into cycle awareness, and then doing a lot of kind of spiritual kind of mindfulness as well. And I just found this beautiful kind of pathway that I was like, I have to take women on this journey because there's so many people going through what I'm experiencing. And then it just led me to this beautiful, purposeful life. And I just love it so much. Yeah.
I love that. It's amazing.
So, man, I've got so many questions. I'm curious, how did you decide on the program in London, and what does that look like? Because I'm sure there are some people who might have even entertained the idea of, I might want to pursue a healthcare career. I mean, I know a lot of healthcare providers. I don't know a lot of traditional Chinese medicine specialists. So how'd you choose that specific path, and what does that even look like?
Yeah, so I specialize in herbs. So I don't do acupuncture. I just work with the plants. I work with like 350 plants right now. And they all have personalities and they tell stories, and it's so beautiful. And I think my yearning for connection with nature also was my yearning for connection with this medicine. So I see it as something very sacred. And the reason that I decided on Chinese medicine was purely because I call it a whole body yes. Like I walked into her clinic and saw all these wild plants and I was like, I have to get to know all of them and all of their stories. So yeah, I decided on London because it was really, really heavy on the herbs. So if you study in the US, you're going to do like 30% herbs and 70% acupuncture. And I was like, no, I want to get to know these ancient plants. So that was why the decision was to go there and do that. And it's kind of the most intensive herbal course outside of China. So I really wanted to have an authentic experience and get to know the herbs on a really, really deep level. So I custom formulate for each of my clients, and not one herb can be replaced for another. Like I know them so deeply. And that's really what I found most fascinating, is these plants that are so deeply interwoven with tradition and history that have been used for thousands of years. Getting to know them, when people have great results, I'm like, it's not me. Like it's literally, it's the plants. Like thank the plants. So yeah, that was why I kind of chose that route.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we want to learn more about this because I think that there's not a lot of understanding around Chinese medicine. And I know because we refer out for Chinese medicine from my clinic, there are certain conditions or symptom profiles we see in people that we say like, we don't know how to help this. Like we have a limitation, but we see that Chinese medicine is the support for, especially I see it a lot in viral. So to me, even though I'm in functional medicine, it's still conventional really in its science. And I'll say, we got a couple of things for viral, but then we don't. So, so I guess I want to ask you, are there things that you feel Chinese medicine is perfectly suited for that we don't have good options for? And what's the foundation for you? Like, where do you start?
That's such a good question. I think that's what drew me to Chinese medicine, is this idea that there's kind of nothing that we can't treat. Doesn't always mean it's 100% effective. Doesn't always mean we don't need Western intervention. Doesn't always mean we're not going to use a coupled approach of East-West. But there's kind of nothing that you can't give a crack at and usually get some sort of positive response. Like the body's going to respond, because the way that we diagnose is really not by illness, and that's what I found fascinating. It's really by the patterns of disharmony that are going on in the body. So it's rooted in this knowing that the body knows how to heal. It innately knows how to heal. And we just have to literally give it the tools and this gentle nudge to get it to show up for itself and to rebalance. And that's what I found fascinating about Chinese medicine, is this deep understanding for thousands of years of how the emotions also affect the body, how food affects the body. So it's kind of this, think of the meridians as this like intrinsic network. And then underneath that, you've got the extraordinary vessels, which are kind of these reservoirs of qi and blood and energy and life force. And when we see someone come in with, I don't know, maybe they've got a thyroid issue or a fertility issue or a gut issue, I'm not treating them for that issue. I'm then looking at them and being like, okay, what pattern is out of balance? Like, is their spleen, stomach really deficient, but they've got damp heat in the large intestine, which is like so common after antibiotics? Have they got liver qi stagnation and heart fire, which is making them super anxious and highly strung at all times? The body can't heal unless we address the actual foundational patterns and kind of bring them back into balance. And that's what I found so interesting about it, because it really is diagnosing in a completely different way to any other kind of medicine. And that's what I love, is there's not really this label of you have this disease and this is your destiny now. It's like, okay, let's scratch that for a second and let's just like look at the imbalances and let's see if we correct those, if the disease corrects itself. Yeah.
So who is generally reaching out to you for help?
Yeah. Honestly, people that have been through my story, my journey. Like, I think I was so vulnerable with what I was going through. This is back in 2018. I was at like the peak of my modeling career and everything went to shit. Like, my partner had cheated on me. My dad was ill. And then my health just collapsed. And I realized it was all rooted in chronic stress, right? And I shared that really vulnerably, and I shared my skin, and I shared my hair falling out, and I shared not being able to digest anything. And I've had chronic digestive issues since I came into this world, so that wasn't new, but it definitely just went through the roof. And I think that vulnerability really, it resonated with some people, and you don't realize how many people are going through what you're going through. And when you're experiencing chronic health issues, it's so easy to look around and think that everyone is perfect, but really everyone's dealing with something. And I think that really struck a chord with people. So now primarily people come to me for dermatology, for skin things, fertility, hormone balance, and digestive issues, chronic stress. Yeah. So it's really, really rewarding to treat and so nourishing. And also so beautiful, because I've kind of created a community. I have a private community where women can chat, and every day they're just talking about like, I have this thing, like, does anyone else have that? And they're all bouncing off each other. And I think community is so healing as well. So that's kind of a big part of what I love to do. Yeah.
I love that. I think we underplay how the magnitude of stress that is just almost innate in our culture, right? So the baseline's so high that then when you have something in your life that's really significant, your threshold's like, whoop, I'm right there. I'm over that limit.
Yeah, you're at the peak.
And I think for women too, we also underplay how essential that conversation is, that validating each other and resonating with each other and saying, yeah, we are all going through this, so you don't feel isolated and alone. And I think it's important for men too, but in talking to the men in my clinic, they seem like they're okay with one or two people that they can kind of like have a parallel conversation with, and the women seem like they need these tribes, right?
Sure.
They need a lot of voices saying, we're in this, we're doing this all together, for their nervous system to downregulate.
For sure.
So having a community as part of your practice is, I mean, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's so nourishing. It's equally as nourishing for me to just see women loving on each other all day. So beautiful.
So tell us about the 5 elements.
Yeah. Oof. So I think when anyone comes to me and they're like, my nervous system's dysregulated, I'm like, do you realize that every element in nature is here to hold you and support you and help you move through whatever you're going through? And whenever I tell people this, they're like, whoa. And to me, it seems so obvious because I've done Chinese medicine, but it's like the elements are basically, we have the water element. This connects with the kidney meridian. We have the fire element, which connects with the heart meridian, heart, small intestine, bladder as well. That's why you often see a lot of UTIs that blow up through emotional things and then randomly go away because of that. We have the wood element, which, connects with the liver and the gallbladder. We have the metal element, which connects with the lungs and our ability to kind of breathe and take in life force. And then the spleen stomach, which is our earth energy. And all of these elements connect with each other. And the most beautiful thing is that whenever we're moving through anything in life, any kind of mental, emotional situation, the elements are always there to support us. And that's what people don't realize, is like if you feel like you need a cleansing, go to water because it will rid you of your issues. It's like go there and ask the water to hold you in whatever you're moving through. If you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like you need to move some energy through you, that's where we go to the metal element. We do some breath work and we get the chi moving and flowing again. If you feel like you have like the weight of the world on your shoulders and you just need to kind of like light it up with a match and let it burn, then like write a letter to yourself and set that on fire. Like everything in nature, you want to look at the earth element, it's literally there to hold you in whatever you're moving through. Like if your root chakra is feeling so imbalanced and you're going through fear and you're going through anxiety and just moving through a lot, maybe you're going through fertility things, the earth is there to hold you in that. Like we are never alone in what we're moving through. And that's what's so beautiful. And I know some people are like, yeah, well, is it? But actually, when you start to really tap into that and lean into her and lean into those elements, we are never alone in what we're moving through. And I think people would feel so much more supported. And so much of what I believe in is like, if we can get the nervous system on board, the body corrects itself.
Mm-hmm.
My brain is like
so
rocking
true.
right now. Well, I'm thinking about how we're almost indoctrinated to a disharmonious life existence where we're like as though we can combat the earth and the forces, be in opposition to it and that's going to work.
Well, we're disassociated from nature and just how we live our lives. I remember reading a book about the Amish communities in Pennsylvania, and I didn't really understand their cultural decisions around when they would adopt something and when they wouldn't. And their rule was, if it makes us go faster, we're not adopting it. And I thought, holy crap, because I'm pretty much sure the rest of us are like, if it makes us go faster, yeah. And the faster you go, the further you move from these elements that are all around us all the time.
Totally. Do you see a lot of autoimmune in your clinic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have such an interesting perspective on autoimmune when it comes to the elements.
I would love to hear it.
Yes, please.
I think because like we're seeing it primarily in women.
Yeah.
Majorly, primarily, hugely. Like the numbers are out of control that it's affecting women so much more than men. And why is that? No one's given me any valid reasoning. No one's really explained it to me. And we can look at the cycle and our hormones and how complex our endocrine system, and we can do that whole thing. Or we can look at the fact that women are a reflection of nature. Women are disconnected from nature and women are disconnected from the earth, and we are the earth. And if we can learn to embody that it's a fundamental need. Like it's a fundamental need that the female body be connected to the earth, and that the earth is kind of screaming and having a pretty hard time right now.
Yeah.
And it's asking us to come back to her. And I'm such a firm believer that so much autoimmune of people saying, my body's attacking itself, my body's attacking itself. It's like, or is your body screaming that we're disconnected from like the bigger mother?
It's such an interesting concept. As you're saying that, I'm thinking, I have a 16-year-old daughter. I am a woman. I have two sisters. I have a mother. We have a lot of the same conversations outwardly.
Totally.
But one of the things that I've thought about a lot in my adulthood is the conversations we have inwardly with ourselves, almost on a reel. I mean, you were a model. It's all day long criticisms. It's all day long self-hatred. It's all day long do better, be better. I should be whatever I should be. We talk about shoulds a lot, right? I should be, and we fill this in. And previously what you were saying about the earth holding us, right? That's something that allows us to come back to a place where we belong without judgment, and even stepping away from that judgment for 5 minutes a day, even stopping that conversation of self-hatred for 5 minutes a day. Because I think a lot about autoimmunity in the attack of ourselves, the fighting what is natural in our body.
But would Mother Earth ever criticize us?
No. And I always say to my daughter, if you could love you the way I love you, right? The way a mother loves a child, it's different.
But that's because, the love for Mother Earth, the greater mother, is unconditional.
Yes.
And it's free of judgment, because true love is judgment free.
Yep.
And I think a part of that, if we can reconnect with her and acknowledge that she unconditionally gives. She just gives and gives and gives. That's why we can show up on this planet. If we can reconnect with her and really absorb that unconditional love that she has for us, that we don't have to show up as perfect. I wrote about this the other day, about flowers and how we appreciate them only when they're open and blooming. And I'm like, damn, what about when she's like shedding all of her petals and she makes the ground something kissable? Or when she's a bud and she's like booming with life force, ready to kind of explode into the world. Like, I want to appreciate her in all of her seasons, because we have all those seasons within us. I don't want to stop appreciating myself just because I'm having a rough time, or my skin's gone to crap, or like I'm stressed, or like whatever. I want to love myself through all of it. And I think if we could have that empathy and compassion towards ourselves, reflection of Mother Earth always having that empathy and compassion for herself. She's not putting pressure on to show up constantly. She's just flowing with her seasons, right? I think there would be a huge amount of healing.
How does that integrate into yin and yang for you, or yang?
Yin and yang. I mean, yang is energy, it's outward, it's movement, it's hot, it's expressive. And yin is this, it's the shadow. It's the coolness, it's the water, it's the softening. And everything in life is this paradox, is this comparison. It is the balance of yin and yang. There's nothing in life that isn't, right? But I think the most interesting concept about yin and yang is that we forget that within the yang, there's that little spot, and that's the yin. And within the yin, there's that little spot, and that's the yang. Because even if we have two contradictions and two opposing opposites within them, we are always connected, right? And like without the sun, we can't have the shade, right? So it's like this kind of balancing act. And I see that within, if we go back to women's health, the most common thing is the yin and the yang is completely out of balance. And if we can really reconnect us to that harmony, then our body knows how to innately heal. And that's what I love about Chinese medicine. We're really just pursuing balance. There's nothing wrong with you. We're just pursuing an imbalance.
So when you see a symptom, I'm air quoting, a symptom presented, that is for you the beginning of the investigation to figure out where the imbalance is.
Exactly. Like when someone comes to me and they tell me there are 100 symptoms and 45 diagnoses and all the things, I look at their ears and I look at their eyes and I look at their tongue, which are messengers to the rest of the world. So we can see your organ systems on your tongue. We can see it through your ears. We can kind of see a lot of the eyes are kind of the pathway to the liver. So we can kind of see a lot of what's going on there. And then I'll get, all of their symptoms that they'll come through with. If I'm in person with them, I read their pulse as well, because the pulse is going to tell us, which is so beautiful. Like your heartbeat is going to communicate to us what your organ systems are doing. Like, tell me something that's cooler than that. I'm such a nerd. I love it. And then I'm going to just put it all together and then be like, okay, where is this imbalance coming from? What is the root? And is it going to be really fast to fix? Probably not, because nature doesn't do anything fast, as we spoke about. But is it going to address like the real foundations of what's going on for you? And I think when people have been going through something chronic, they're like, time is worth it. because I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
I'm curious because
I can see your curious face.
well, again, you know, I don't know a whole lot about traditional Chinese medicine. However, particularly in working with Dr. Simon Yu out of St. Louis, Missouri, I've come to appreciate like energy meridians and specifically how they connect to the mouth. I mean, that's my lens, right?
For sure.
I'm always thinking about like, well, and I love that you were talking about the tongue and what it tells us, because absolutely, like I've seen those patterns, had no idea what I was looking at, you know?
Totally.
First I'm curious, when someone reaches out to you, however they find you, are you having to see them in person, or are you able to do your analysis or initial conversations with them? Is that something you can do via Zoom?
Yeah. In an ideal world, I would have everyone across the table from me like this, purely because I think that I'm a very kind of sensitive, intuitive person. So I find helping to read people's energy in person is just like an additional tool in our diagnosis, right? Like, how do they feel in person? Does their energy feel grounded, or does it feel like they're like balancing the world on their shoulders, right? I think that's really helpful, but it's not always possible. Some people are in different countries, so telehealth is amazing. But in an ideal world, I'd be sitting across from them. But there's so much you can do from a distance as well, because I can get photos and I can kind of piece it together with their symptoms, with their history, and I can often just constantly see one pattern that's really out of balance. Like even when I came into your clinic the other day and we were looking at my teeth, which has been such a long thing for me, and we were like, the teeth that you were missing since you were a kid is your spleen stomach meridian, and you had chronic digestive issues and couldn't digest anything until you were 14, 15 years old, and you've always had knee issues, which is connected to your spleen meridian. And it's fascinating. But with everyone, you can always see there's always kind of like, I don't like to call it a weak spot. I like to call it a sensitive spot. Everybody has a little sensitive spot that needs a little extra TLC. And often when we start to address that, people just start to feel a lot better.
It's awesome. We didn't cover any of this in dental school, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, well, we were talking about patterns before the show. And,
yeah.
I mean, golly, it took me probably 15 years to start seeing certain patterns, particularly like root canals on specific teeth. For instance, the front teeth being connected to the reproductive organs.
Yeah.
And I just, wasn't taught this stuff, couldn't have appreciated it. Probably took a total of 20 years before I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
This is almost every time.
But isn't it wild? Like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Totally.
Yeah. Because it just constantly continues to make sense. When people are like, Chinese medicine is woo-woo, this is woo-woo, I'm like, I love woo-woo.
Yeah.
I'm so here for the woo-woo because I see it in practice daily.
Yeah.
Like you can't deny that. Like she's always had digestive issues. She's always had knee issues, and she just happens to be missing her spleen, stomach, meridian, lower teeth. Cool. Like tell me that's not legit. It's wild.
It's a deeper understanding, and without it, it's easy to deny.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Once
cool.
it's hard to know.
Or I love that you use the term woo-woo, because it's like we see these things work. I mean, we understand and practice it daily that everything's connected. But I understand if it's not been part of your education,
For sure.
traditional programming, that we just say, well, there's no, and it's interesting because I was doing some research on this stuff last night. The wording around it typically isn't that there's no evidence to support. It's that there's no credible evidence. And of course, credible is subjective.
Yes.
The powers that be get to determine what is or is not credible, which is
I love to say that it might not be science-backed, but it's history proven.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around for thousands of years. If you want to go back to COVID, the formula that we were using was written like 2,000 years ago.
Yep.
So
we like to ask people on our podcast,
yes.
What does whole health mean to you?
Oof. I think whole health really means to me feeling connected to your body. I always say to my clients, it's like coming home to your body it's coming home to your innate nature, the person that you were before you got told and convinced that you need to act otherwise, be otherwise. It's coming home to your innate nature, and it's finding a balance in your life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And for me, it's also nurturing that relationship with nature. That's really whole health to me.
I'm so glad that we had this opportunity to have an amazing conversation with you, and your time is really valuable. So I appreciate you being here.
No,
Where can
so
people
mutual.
find you?
Yeah, my website's www.georgiamaegibbs.com, and my Instagram is georgiagibbs_. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. You guys are such a nourishing conversation. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I am so excited for how many people this will likely reach and impact in a positive way through a lens that they may not have considered previously. So truly, thank you for coming all the way across the country to be with us. We appreciate it.
You're
really do.
so welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Whole Health Podcast.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, please follow us on social media and wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can find out more about us at thewholehealthpodcast.com.
You can find me on my website, blodgettdentalcare.com.
And you can find me at bioloungepdx.com or learn more about my organic soluble fiber supplement, Fluorosophy, at thinkfluorosophy.com.
We look forward to seeing you next time.